The cold metal floor pressed against Jimin's trembling body. Her emerald-scaled skin glistened with a mixture of blood and sweat, reflecting the dim emergency lights of the abandoned research station. Around her, the remnants of her diplomatic transport lay scattered like broken dreams, smoking debris of what had been a routine mission just hours ago. The attack had been swift and merciless. No warning, no chance to escape. Lyrian diplomatic vessels were supposed to be neutral, protected by interstellar agreements. But agreements meant nothing when ruthless alien factions decided otherwise. Jimin was barely 17, the youngest diplomatic assistant in her clan's recent history. Her family had celebrated her assignment with traditional ceremonies, her grandmother weaving protective charms and whispering ancient prayers. Those charms now seemed like distant memories, crushed beneath the brutal reality of her current situation. Her communication device flickered weakly, sending out desperate distress signals that echoed through the vast emptiness of space. Each pulse was a silent cry for help, a beacon of hope growing dimmer with each passing moment. Alien ships passed by, their massive silhouettes blocking what little starlight filtered through the station's broken viewport. She could hear, distant, communications fragmented transmissions that drifted through her damaged translator. Another Lyrian. Not our concern. No survivors expected. Move to next sector. The indifference was devastating. Each passing ship meant another opportunity for rescue lost. Her people were known for their diplomatic skills, not their combat abilities. Peaceful negotiation had always been their strength. Now that very peace had left her completely vulnerable. Blood from a deep wound on her side created a slow, rhythmic pattern on the metal floor. She was losing strength, and she knew it. The station's life support systems were failing, oxygen growing thin. Each breath became a calculated effort, each moment a battle against the approaching darkness. Memories of her home world flickered through her mind. The crystal cities of Lyra Prime, where diplomats trained for decades to master the art of interstellar communication. Her training seemed so distant now, so useless in this moment of absolute isolation. Outside the station's damaged viewport, stars continued their eternal dance. Countless civilizations thrived, fought, loved, and died, completely unaware of her struggle. The universe was indifferent to her pain, to her potential extinction. Her communication device made one last desperate attempt to signal for help. A weak pulse of energy, like a final heartbeat, transmitted her coordinates into the infinite darkness. Most would ignore it. Some might receive it and choose not to respond. The station creaked and groaned, metal fatigue speaking its own language. Of impending collapse, temperature was dropping. Oxygen levels continued to decline. Jimin's vision began to blur, the edges of consciousness starting to fade. Just when everything seemed lost, a distant rumble caught her attention. Something was approaching, but after hours of abandoned hope, she couldn't bring herself to believe. It might be rescue. Her translator, damaged but still partially functional, picked up a faint communication signal. Human language. Rough, direct, different from the smooth diplomatic tones she was accustomed to hearing. Life signs confirmed. Preparing boarding sequence. Jimin's last conscious thought was a mixture of fear and a strange, unexpected hope. Humans, the galaxy's most controversial species, known as warriors, known as potential saviors, known as potential destroyers. As darkness began to consume her, she wondered which version of humanity she would encounter. Would they be the compassionate rescuers of legends, or the merciless killers of galactic rumors? The station continued its slow death dance, spinning silently against the backdrop of infinite stars. Jimin's body remained still, her breath shallow, her fate hanging in the balance between survival and oblivion. The human transport vessel moved with surprising grace, its exterior scarred from countless missions but maintained with obvious professional care. Inside, 5 figures prepared for what could be another routine rescue operation. Sung-Ho Kim checked his medical equipment with mechanical precision. His hands, marked with old scars and precise surgical lines, moved quickly across diagnostic tools. Years of battlefield medicine had taught him that every second counted. Life signs are weak, he announced to Hyejin Lee, the team's tactical commander. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, studied the holographic display showing Jimin's deteriorating condition. Prepare emergency medical protocols, Hyejin responded. Her voice carried the calm of someone who had seen worse scenarios 100 times before. Wong Park, their communication specialist, worked on decoding the alien distress signal. His fingers danced across multiple translation matrices, breaking through layers of encrypted communication that most would have dismissed as random noise. Lyrian diplomatic assistant, he confirmed. Female, approximately 17 standard years. Severe physical trauma, oxygen levels critically low. Ji Un Kang, their weapons specialist, checked her medical support gear. Unlike typical combat equipment, these tools were designed to save, not destroy. Her movement was fluid, professional, calculated. The fifth team member, Jaehyun Kim, prepared the boarding equipment. Magnetic connectors, emergency medical shields, and stabilization units were carefully arranged. Each piece of equipment told a story of previous missions, of lives saved in impossible conditions. As they approached the damaged station, the team moved with synchronized precision. No wasted movements, no unnecessary conversations. Each understood their role perfectly. The station's exterior was a nightmare of twisted metal and emergency warning lights. Typical rescue scenarios suggested minimal chance of survival. But this team had built its reputation on defying typical scenarios. Seung-ho was the first to enter through the damaged airlock. His breathing apparatus filtered potential toxins, his medical scanner working faster than most advanced computers. Within seconds, he located Jimin's position. Lyrian female, critical condition, he reported back. Massive blood loss, potential organ failure, need immediate stabilization. Hyejin's voice came through the communication link. Prepare emergency, medical protocol Alpha 7, full xenobiological support systems. Jimin's body was barely recognizable as living. Her emerald scales had lost their natural shimmer, her breathing so shallow it was almost non-existent. Any other rescue team would have declared her beyond saving. But these humans worked differently. Seung-ho's hands moved with practiced speed. Specialized medical nanobots were injected, designed to work across multiple biological systems. Adaptive. Medical technology that could adjust to alien physiologies within milliseconds. Stabilizing, he muttered, more to himself than to the team. Jae-hyun prepared the emergency transport unit, its advanced systems capable of maintaining life support across extreme conditions. Quantum-based healing chambers that could preserve life in circumstances most would consider hopeless. Ji-un maintained a defensive perimeter, her weapons ready. Rescue missions often attracted unwanted attention. Her scanning systems detected multiple potential threat vectors, ready to neutralize any incoming danger. Wong continued monitoring communication channels, ensuring their position remained uncompromised. His job was information, understanding, potential threats before they became actual problems. As Jimin was carefully transferred to the medical unit, something unexpected happened. Her hand almost unconsciously gripped Seung-ho's sleeve. A tiny movement, a sign of life. She's fighting, Seung-ho said, a rare smile crossing his professional demeanor. Hyejin's voice carried a tone of quiet satisfaction. Humans don't leave anyone behind, not today, not ever. The transport vessel began its return journey carrying its unexpected passenger. Another mission, another life potentially saved. Just another day for this extraordinary team of human protectors. In the medical bay, Jimin's breathing slowly stabilized. Her first encounter with humans was turning into something she could never have expected. Rescue, protection, hope. The stars outside continued their silent watch, witnesses to another story of unexpected humanity. Days passed in the quiet hum of the human transport vessel. Jimin watched the team move around her, her initial fear slowly transforming into something closer to curiosity. The medical bay was unlike anything she had experienced in Lyrian diplomatic training. Seung-ho checked her medical readings daily. His gentle movements contradicted the stories she had heard about humans being violent creatures. Each adjustment of her medical equipment felt more like a careful caress than a clinical procedure. "Your body is adapting well," he would say, his voice calm and reassuring. Jimin noticed how he always made eye contact, a gesture of respect she found unexpected. Wong Park began teaching her basic communication protocols, not diplomatic language but survival communication, how to send emergency signals, how to identify potential threats, how to protect herself. "Information is your first defense," he explained, showing her how to map communication networks with simple hand movements. "Knowledge stops wars before they begin." Jeon Kang's approach was different. During what the team called recovery exercise periods, she taught Jimin basic defensive techniques. Not as a warrior, but as a survivor. How to read body language, how to create space, how to understand potential threats. "Survival isn't about fighting," Jeon would say, demonstrating a simple defensive stance. "It's about understanding and avoiding conflict." Jae-hyun Kim managed the ship's resources. Jimin watched how he carefully prepared meals, ensuring her dietary needs were met. Alien nutrition was complex, but he approached it like a careful scientist, always checking, always adapting. Hee-jin Lee remained the most enigmatic. As team leader, she observed more than she spoke. But when she did speak, her words carried weight. Strategic, precise, meaningful. "Your people are diplomats," she told Jimin one evening. "But diplomacy isn't just talking, it's understanding, listening, respecting differences." Jimin learned about human history. Not the violent narratives she had been taught, but complex stories of survival, adaptation, and unexpected compassion. Stories of communities coming together during impossible challenges. The team shared meals together, a ritual Jimin found fascinating. They discussed mission details, personal experiences, future plans, all while sharing food. No hierarchy, no tension, just mutual respect. She discovered humans had a concept called chosen family, connections not defined by blood, but by shared experiences and mutual support. Her current situation perfectly embodied this concept. Woong showed her how to repair communication devices. Ji-eun taught her basic survival skills. Seong-ho explained medical emergency protocols. Jae-hyun demonstrated resource management. Hee-jin shared leadership principles. Each team member contributed something unique to her understanding. Her translator device, once damaged, now worked perfectly. But more importantly, she was learning to communicate beyond words. Understanding, body language, reading emotional subtext, recognizing genuine intentions. The humans never treated her as a victim. They saw her as a potential, a learner, a survivor. One evening, during a quiet moment, Jimin realized something profound. These humans, supposedly known as galactic killers, had saved her life, protected her, taught her, respected her. Her previous understanding of humanity crumbled. These weren't monsters, they were protectors, survivors. Complex beings with layers of emotion and capability she had never imagined. "We're teaching you to survive," Hyejin explained one day. "Not just physically, but strategically. Knowledge is the most powerful weapon." As stars moved outside the vessel's viewport, Jimin understood her journey was transforming. She was no longer just a diplomatic assistant. She was becoming something more, a bridge between understanding, a witness to unexpected humanity. The team continued their mission, unaware of the profound impact they were creating. Just another day of protection. Just another opportunity to demonstrate that humanity was far more complex than galactic rumors suggested. The first warning came as a subtle vibration. Jimin felt it before anyone spoke, a slight tremor running through the ship's metal framework. Hyejin's voice cut through the silence, calm and precise. "Incoming hostile vessels, 3 battle cruisers, quantum signature matches previous attack configuration." The human team transformed instantly. No panic, no unnecessary movements. Each Member moved to their designated position with machine-like precision. Wung's fingers flew across communication systems, jamming and redirecting potential tracking signals. Multiple communication channels blocked, he reported. They won't trace our exact location easily. Ji-un prepared defensive weapons, not just standard military equipment, but advanced systems that seemed to breathe with technological intelligence. Her hands moved with a dancer's grace, each movement calculating potential attack vectors. Quantum shields at maximum, Jae-hyun announced. The ship's defensive systems hummed to life, creating an invisible protective layer that seemed to ripple with potential energy. Sung-ho secured the medical bay, ensuring Jimin was protected. Stay here, he instructed. His voice carried both protection and absolute authority. Yi-jin's tactical display showed the approaching threat. 3 massive battle cruisers, each capable of destroying entire planetary settlements. Their approach was calculated, methodical, typical of the alien faction that had previously attacked Jimin's diplomatic transport. They want complete elimination, Jimin whispered, her diplomatic training finally finding a practical purpose. The first wave of attacks came without warning. Quantum disruptors sliced through space, creating momentary rifts of destructive energy. But the human ship responded with impossible speed. Micro-adjustment systems redirected incoming energy. Defensive shields absorbed and redistributed destructive frequencies. What should have been a fatal attack became nothing more than a light show against the ship's protective membrane. Target their communication nodes, Hyejin instructed. Her voice remained steady, almost calm. Jimin surprised herself by speaking. Their primary communication frequency runs through the central ship's left quadrant. I recognize the configuration from diplomatic intercepting training. Wung looked surprised, then impressed. Confirm that, he said to the tactical display. The human ship was no typical military vessel. It moved like a living creature, anticipating attacks before they fully formed. Quantum shift technologies allowed instantaneous positional changes, making traditional targeting impossible. Ji-yun's weapon systems found their mark. Precision strikes disabled enemy communication arrays. Not destruction, targeted disruption. Communication systems neutralized, she reported. The battle lasted what seemed like hours but was actually minutes. Sophisticated technology transformed a potential massacre into a strategic demonstration of defensive capability. One by one, the enemy battlecruisers lost offensive potential, not destroyed, disabled, neutralized. A subtle but significant difference that spoke volumes about human approach to conflict. Jimin watched in amazement. These weren't just warriors. They were protectors, strategists, beings capable of measured, intelligent response. As the final enemy ship drifted powerless, Hyejin turned to Jimin. Your information was critical, she said simply. No praise, just acknowledgement. Wung began sending standard galactic rescue protocols to the disabled vessels. Ensuring survival, he explained. Even for enemies. Sung-ho checked the ship's systems. Minor energy fluctuations, nothing critical. His voice carried professional satisfaction. The team moved with synchronized efficiency, transforming from combat mode to recovery mode without any visible tension. No celebrations, no dramatic speeches. Just professional completion of a complex mission. Jimin realized something profound. These humans didn't see conflict as a glorification of violence. They saw it as a problem to be solved with minimum possible damage. We protect, Hyejin had once told her. Protection sometimes requires strategic intervention. As stellar dust settled around their vessel, the human team returned to their regular duties. Another mission. Another day of unexpected complexity. The stars outside continued their silent watch, witnesses to another demonstration of humanity's true nature. The Galactic Council chamber felt heavy with centuries of tension. Diplomatic representatives from countless species sat in tiered formations, their collective gaze fixed on Jimin. Her emerald scales gleamed under artificial lighting, a stark contrast to the metallic surroundings. I speak not as a victim, she began, her voice steady, but as a witness to humanity's true nature. Representatives from multiple alien civilizations shifted uncomfortably. The human team sat quietly in the observation section, their presence both subtle and powerful. Jimin recounted her entire journey. Not a dramatic tale of heroics, but a simple narrative of survival and unexpected compassion. She described how humans, supposedly the galaxy's most feared species, had protected her without expecting anything in return. They saved me, she explained, when no one else would. Not because they wanted reward, not because they had to, but because it was right. The Zenthari representative, a serpentine creature known for diplomatic cynicism, leaned forward. Explain the strategic value of their actions, he demanded, expecting a calculated response. There was no strategic value, Jimin responded, only human compassion. Wong had prepared her for this moment, not with scripted responses but with understanding, how to communicate, how to be truthful, how to represent complex emotions simply. Hyojin's team sat silently. No dramatic gestures, no attempts to influence the proceedings. Just quiet support. The Council's historical records showed humans as aggressive explorers, violent colonizers, unpredictable warriors. Jimin's testimony began dismantling those long-held beliefs, one simple statement at a time. She described Seung-ho's medical care, Wong's communication training, Ji-eun's survival lessons, Jae-hyun's resource management, Hyejin's leadership, not as individual actions but as a collective demonstration of humanity's complexity. They taught me survival isn't about fighting, she said. It's about understanding, protecting, supporting. The Lyrian diplomatic representatives who had initially written her off as a lost cause now listened with growing attention. Their traditional protocols seemed small compared to the humanity she described. When she finished, the chamber remained silent, not uncomfortable silence, but the kind of silence that comes with profound understanding. The head council member, a crystalline being from the Andromeda cluster, spoke. Your testimony challenges everything we believed about humans. Jimin's response was simple. Beliefs are just stories waiting to be re-examined. Outside the council chamber, the human team waited. No anxiety, no tension, just professional calm. Wong monitored communication channels. Ji-eun maintained situational awareness. Seung-ho reviewed medical reports. Jae-hyun calculated potential diplomatic outcomes. Hyejin observed quietly. The council's decision came swiftly. A formal review of human diplomatic status. Recognition of their potential as peacekeepers. An invitation to broader galactic discussions, not a victory, but an opportunity for understanding. As Jimin exited the chamber, the human team surrounded her. No celebration, just quiet support. You did well, Hyejin said simply. Jimin understood now what human support truly meant. Not grand gestures, but consistent, reliable presence. The galactic news networks would later describe this moment as a turning point. The day a single story changed collective understanding. The day humanity was seen not as destroyers but as unexpected protectors. Stars continued their eternal dance outside, silent witnesses to another chapter of cosmic understanding. In the vast, complex universe, sometimes the most profound changes begin with the simplest acts of compassion.